Hey everyone, I'm feeling really festive tonight. Um, it is, if you're in the US, it's Thanksgiving weekend here in Canada. We're expecting my partner's best friend. Um, so it's going to be a house full of boys for me. My two boys who are teenage boys, and well, they're very big boys. So, yeah, so I'll be the only girl in the house for a little while. I plan to do absolutely nothing. I'm not cooking. I will be gardening. They can do the turkey and everything. And nobody have time for that. Anyway, folks, I wanted to pop on here very quickly to just do a little short pose. I'm actually awaiting a box of my books to arrive. We've had a postal strike here in Canada, and these books were supposed to have arrived a few days ago. Um, I was anxious because I thought with all of the tariff situation between the US and us, this is going to be very expensive. But luckily, books, I think, coming from the US to Canada, are not tariffed. I think so because they're educational material. But I am waiting to actually do an unboxing with my publisher. My book has been out since July. Do get a copy. This is something I know lots of people out there just think about perhaps the day to day, but there is a big paradigm shift happening in society in every Western country, a move towards this whole idea of digital citizenship management. And Canada is no different. My area of scholarship, I talk about that from time to time because I really don't like talking about my scholarship because it's alienating for some people. It seems so ivory towerish, and that is so not me. But one of the things that's happening is that we are at a point in history, the first time ever, where we've willfully given away so much of our data to companies, whether it is through period apps, banking. You know, when you go to the LCBO here, what's your postal code? We just give all that information. And my scholarship looks at how AI powered design systems takes a collation of our data and makes recipes to understand who we are as people. And that is very concerning to me, not only as a citizen, but as a researcher. And let me just give you a couple of examples of how that this might impact you in the future. So imagine the year is 2030 and you're about to apply for a house loan, right? But today in 2025, you go to the liquor store a lot. You may go to the cannabis store and you know you need to show your digital ID. So imagine a data system where every piece of information about you is centralized and risk models can be built around that data system to understand, for example, in the context, that's my dog, sorry, in the context of buying a house, how trustworthy is this person based on the fact that they smoke marijuana or they drink alcohol. And this could be baked into recipes for future risk models. Imagine again, for example, especially this might have perhaps happen more in the US where people, one of the things I noticed when I lived in the US for 5 years, I lived in Princeton. And from time to time, I would go to a place called Trenton. I had to go there for like my driver's license. And I'd get there, everybody was black. And I went to Orange. Somebody tell me, yeah, Orange. I think South Orange in New Jersey. Anyway, I get to this place and they're all Hispanics. So imagine a data system that in the future can take information about you, like your address, your postal code. In Canada, we call it zip code, and compute things about you to calculate and characterize you against a risk model to say, okay, this person lives in X postal code, so therefore this person doesn't get a loan. Or even, for example, the scary situation with Amazon a few years ago, where Amazon could actually filter through, algorithmically, of course, a pile of resumes and say, okay, all of these people went to an all-girls school. We don't want female engineers. So the potential for misuse of so many levels of data about us is very troubling. Imagine in the future, for example, Canada gets an authoritarian regime. Who would have thought that would have never happened in the US, right? So, what can they do with that data? We need to be mindful of the fact that there's so many of us on the planet and budgets are shrinking, and governments are also looking for ways to outsource some of their commons. So whether it is getting a license that has been outsourced in Canada, privatized healthcare, and there's so many things that is happening in the backdrop of our lives that we as citizens, we don't know. Even simple things as putting on the location on your phone, driving down the street and getting pulled over because you violated a speeding law down the street. And the idea of triangulating data bits about you is our current reality. And yeah, so I go deep into things like that in my research, but I'll give you one example. In Spain, for example, the citizens of Spain have decided they want to be forgotten by technology. So we all somehow, we've left digital imprints wherever we've gone, but Spain has decided that Spanish citizens deserve the right to be forgotten by technology. You give all your data. Now, I remember when I worked in tech a few years ago, we could only keep things like NDAs and people's data for 3 years. And now we don't know what these companies are doing with our data to spawn new companies that know us so well, that manipulate things based on the fact that they have our personal information. So the fight and the activism that needs to happen in the age of AI, especially when it's usurping so many of our specialities, is guarding our privacy. And so many of us, we've given consent to use our data, but we don't know what that consent really means and how it morphs and creates other business entities that leverages our data, you see? So yeah, I can go on about this topic. This is the area of my work. On a side note, Design with Ren, a friend of mine, we've been OG design researchers in the field for over 15 years. She has a podcast. I was on that yesterday. I don't know when it's being released, but nonetheless, I was on the podcast, and we talk about artificial intelligence and new beauty standards. Another thing that is a kind of a harmful effect and impact on society, that we really don't have a place to house these conversations. Yeah, so much more. But I'm waiting for my box of books, and every UPS truck, I'm like, yeah, that's it, wasn't it? So yeah. Yep. What else can I talk about while I'm here waiting and just spending some time with you? Yes, these posts that I have been reading the comments, I really try to read every comment. Thank you so much for all the new followers. If this is your first time actually visiting my channel, my name is Kem-Laurin. I'm a uniter, a people lover. I'm an advocate for the poor. I'm an advocate for lower class citizens who are just struggling and trying to survive. And my passion lies in ensuring I have a community of people who are living well and eating. I am a village girl, and I think that's why I got this from, the idea that, we are all in this together. And I grew up in a multi-generational community where all my aunts and uncles were in the same space where I was. And I think one of the things that, and I mentioned that in another post, that has bothered me is going to Toronto and seeing people living on the bridges. That bothers me immensely. I think when you can actually see these things in our community, in our society, that it is our problem to solve, but there seemed to be a growing apathy by, I think, politicians and some people who are just jaded about our political existence in Canada. I don't have a solution, but I just want to talk about it and see what happens, if we talk about it and discuss it. I want to point out, I've had a few posts on here that touch into things about class and race and identity. My channel is about uniting people. I am not a divider. I don't like that energy. I also welcome respectfully others with other opinions. I think that is critical for progress, because if I live in my echo chamber and you live in your echo chamber, we're just going to go at each other. So for me, this is a platform where I have a mix of followers, and it's not unlike my Instagram as well too, where my friends are from all walks of life. I have friends, quite a few friends, oddly from North Carolina. I don't know if the algorithm just promotes me there, but I have a lot of Republican friends from North Carolina. And how do we actually know each other? Perhaps we had an interest in gardening and cooking when I started my Instagram in 2016. And I respect everybody's politics. Everybody has a motive and a reason. And sometimes a lot of us look at that identity marker about people and it's a turnoff. I don't have that. I think it's because I come from a family that is steeped in politics on both sides, and I can tell you about family fights. So I'm just open to everybody, and I think that has also bred in me a need to just not get involved in the noise. It's why I also don't canvas for any family member. I just don't want to take sides in these things. So anyway, leave your comments. Let me know what you'd love me to talk about. I love reading and I can talk about almost anything. By the way, I would love to know what you're thinking about. What are you watching? What the pulse is on your side. Anyway, still waiting for my books. We'll talk soon, friends. Cheers.